comedians, the style that led to his success in show business was formed by the same instrument that launched Alexander Graham Bell. It really did begin with the telephone.
Hello.
Back in the days when Bob Newhart was a Chicago accountant, and he and his friend Ed Gallagher, the man on the other end of the line, used their office phones to invent bizarre conversations like this one when they should have been working.
Your 4,200 spoons and the 1,800 snow shovels are here, so if you'll just send someone down to pick them up.
I ordered forks.
See, I just have the order here in front of me. I don't know. Who did you talk to? Was it Ted? Ted?
Just as it did in the 50s, what you're hearing now is coming right off the tops of their heads, unplanned and unrehearsed.
Finally, you said forks and he put down spoons.
Well, I don't want spoons.
I know you don't, but I got 4,200 of them here, and you'd have to take that up with Ted.
How do I reach Ted?
The last I heard, Ted was working for the government. He was in procurement, I believe.
I was an accountant, and not a very good one, and I found it very boring, and I really couldn't picture myself doing that for the rest of my life. But the practical side of me kind of dictated that I did it. But the only way I could break the monotony was by calling Ed.
No introduction, by the way. No, hello, Ed, this is Bob. It was, Ed, I'm at this yeast factory. The stuff is bubbling awful fast. I'm going to go up to the next level. Can you hold the phone just a minute? So I would hold the phone. I was pretty busy at the office, and I would just hold the phone. And he'd wait, and then come back on the phone. Ed, I'm at the second level now. Stuff's coming up awful fast, Ed.
You're right.
The man who used to cure his office hours boredom like a slightly deranged Walter Mitty has become a classic comic stylist, playing an everyday man in the midst of chaos, like this air traffic controller sorting out confusion in the skies.
Who am I talking to, please? Just a passenger. Could I speak to someone in charge, please? You are. ¿Cómo está what?
But what has made Newhart one of the most successful comedians of our time is the fact that his style has translated so well into television comedy. The Bob Newhart Show, which ran for 6 years on CBS, was an ideal vehicle for his low-key approach, for the conversational style he developed as a solo comedian, for his ability to use a simple pause the way most comics use a punchline. Peter Bonners was a regular on the show who also directed 26 of the episodes.
Bob's key to great acting is reacting. I mean, Bob isn't going to get out and set the world on fire by acting. But he's going to do it by reacting.
My father used to sit down next to me, and he used to put his arm around me, and he used to sing to me, and I always felt better, you know?
By having some strong or colorful person that he reacts to. That's his magic.
She wore a yellow ribbon. She wore it in the springtime in the merry month of May. Hey, 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 hey.
Newhart now has his second consecutive hit series, a rare achievement for any comedian. In this one, he plays the owner of a small New England country inn with the same unassuming style that arises from the character of a practical man in real life.
Do I say it can't be done?
He's 54 now. He had stuck to a series of office jobs until he was almost 30 after getting a commerce degree from Loyola University. What made him decide to risk trying professional comedy?
I was watching a Ted Amateur, and I saw this kid, and he was obviously in great pain, that he really didn't want to be there, and he was shoved out by his parents, and they were living through him, you know. And I decided that I was never going to do that. I was going to try it, and if I fell on my face, at least I would have the satisfaction of having fallen on my face and not try to live through my children.
His own family background was middle class, suburban, normal. He was raised in a Catholic family, the only son of a heating and plumbing supplier. And so he doesn't seem to fit one of the typical descriptions of comedians as angry people underneath.
No, he doesn't seem to be, although Bob, you know, was never one to let go with his emotions. In all the time I knew Bob and have known Bob, I really don't think he has ever opened up and bared himself. He's a very, very, very... He could have gone west with the wagons. He's one of those fellows that keeps himself to himself. Very strong that way, I think.
Do you consider yourself normal?
Frighteningly normal, yeah. Scary, because you're not supposed to be, I guess, in this business.
Newhart's entry into show business was anything but normal. After his friend Ed Gallagher moved to a better job in New York, Newhart, without a partner, began to develop his one-sided conversational routines. Some Warner Brothers record executives heard tapes of his routines and offered to record Newhart's next nightclub performance. But there was a problem. Newhart had never played a nightclub.
So I went down to the Tidelands in Houston, Texas. Never been on a nightclub floor in my life. Walked out terrified. Never looked either way, just recited the routines. Didn't pause for laughs or anything, just straight ahead and did it and said thank you very much and then walked off. And then did the second show the same way. And one night I went out and it went well. So the maitre d' said, go back and do some more. And I said, I don't have any more, that's all I have. And he said, well, they're applauding, go back and do something. So I went back and I said, well, what would you like to hear again?
That first album, recorded in Texas, was titled The Button-Down Mind of Bob Newhart, and it went to #1 on the U.S. album charts in 1960. Newhart became the first comedian in history to achieve stardom because of a record, without ever having performed on a nightclub circuit or national television. Nightclub and TV bookings came quickly after the album, and so did a string of classic conversational routines, like the submarine commander addressing his men at the end of a voyage.
The catfish that submarine you're serving on holds a record for the most Japanese tonnage sunk, being comprised of 5 freighters and 15 aircraft carriers. This is a truly amazing record, and one in which we can take a great deal of pride. Unfortunately, most of the ships were sunk in 1954. We were no longer at war with the Japanese. However, that was one of the largest
I always loved the submarine commander because obviously this is a commander who is put in charge of a submarine who is totally unqualified and is very matter of fact. Most horrendous trips ever made by a submarine in the history of the U.S. Navy.
An Emmy Award-winning primetime show on NBC followed his best-selling albums. But it was canceled after a year, and Newhart, who had been learning the business from the top, had to survive in it by playing the nightclubs where he was least comfortable.
Being a nightclub comedian was probably the most unlikely thing in the world for me to be. There was a lot of bravado that went on, a lot of false bravado. I used to hate drunks. They just used to throw me. That's not true now. I know how to handle that situation, and if you sense the situation, the first thing you do is get to it right away.
How do you deal with that?
There's stock put-downs. You know, I don't go down in the sewer and interrupt you when you're working.
My favorite story is a little short story about a drunk goes to a party, gets drunk at a party, goes up to the hostess and he says, legs? And the hostess says, no, lemons don't have legs. Oh my God, I think I just squeezed your canary in my drink.